Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Door Bumper Clear. I'm Freddie Kraft, spotter for Bubba Wallace. Hello, Thomas.
Tommy Baldwin, competition director, Rick Ware Racing. That was it for the week. Didn't have to do anything else. No crew chief or anything else, but yeah.
Karsyn Elledge, a little bit of everything at the car store still as of last week. And we have a special guest today. I'm excited about this one. We got Noah Gragson with us. Noah?
Janitor, FRM.
Okay. Janitor and FRM.
How you been? No, it's been a couple years since you came and joined us. Last time, I think we had a bit of a show last time you were on, so let's try to, not you, us, we did that ourselves, but how you been?
I'm good. I definitely haven't been winning as much as last time I saw you on the show. So
I thought about it last night. I was like, when I saw you getting towed off, and I was like, man, he's going to be in a bad mood tomorrow now. But you're actually not. You actually showed up. You're chipper. I don't know what the hell you're drinking. It looks
like pee.
Yeah, it does look.
yeah, that's what everyone said. It's a lime, sugar-free energy from Clutch Coffee.
So some changes for you this year. Obviously, went from Stuart Haas over to front row. How's that been?
It's been good. Just pretty seamless transition for me. I brought my crew chief Drew and interior guy and a couple other guys from the Stuart Haas number 10 team. So they had all my measurements. It was pretty seamless for me. They had, getting the charter stuff and the haulers over and all the equipment took a little bit longer than we would have expected, but once we got to Daytona, we were in a much better place than what we thought we were a month before.
Speaking of seamless transitions and people you brought with you from Stuart Haas, there's somebody that I think fits you like a glove. That's Rusty Rush.
Yeah.
Like, can you just tell, like, a lot of people don't know Rusty. Can you just
Hey,
figure out a way to describe Rusty in a few words?
Rusty is one of the most interesting people I've ever met in my entire life. He's such a smart guy. He doesn't save any phone numbers in his phone. He memorizes every phone number, and he can tell you your phone number after looking at it once. He's really, really calculated with numbers, and he obviously leads more than 8,000 people with Rush Truck Center. So he's built up a huge business, and he's an unbelievable leader. He's crazy. He drinks
I was waiting for you to get to the crazy
all day long. He always has, when he lands, he sent me the picture of him with a cavalry cowboy hat on, and he calls it his cavalry hat. And then he's shirtless, he's ripped, he's like 65, standing on his PJ with his arms crossed and said, "Hey, I'm coming up Daytona to come see you. I land at 12:30. If you know Rusty, that's
So
how he talks.
Rusty, I met Rusty with Clint, I don't know about how many years ago. Rusty travels with a case, not a bottle, a case of Herradura tequila. And when he opens the bottle, he takes the cap and throws it about as far as he could, because you're never putting the cap back on the bottle.
Wow.
That's after he's done with the bottle, because the reason why he likes Herradura tequila is because the cap is a shot glass.
True.
So he doesn't need to bring shot glasses around with him. So he drinks so much tequila that we were down in Daytona and went to dinner with him, and he's like, "All right, let's pull over and wait till we got about 30 minutes till we got to go to dinner. Our reservation. Well, oh, this one's a sweet one right here." He can tell, man, this is a sweet batch.
Different batches,
I'm like, it all tastes the same to me, but
Wow.
I'm not
All that
a
sugar, he's
tequila
not
guy.
tasting
Oh,
anything.
he is. Does he still bring his blow dart with him?
Oh
there?
yeah, blow dart gun. So I went and visited him. It was myself, Chase Briscoe, and Tony Stewart. We went out and visited his ranch, and he's got over 11,000 acres in Texas, and I can't tell too much, but this guy is insane. But he was driving around. I pulled out the blow dart gun. I was sitting in the passenger seat, and we're moving, and I shot this jackrabbit with it. And then we get out. Rusty's like, "Where is that thing?" And it ran over the other side of he's got Escalades, and he drives them around like they're
Like farm
Like
trucks?
Joe.
yeah, Polaris Razors, like around the property, like a side-by-side. And the whole left side of this thing's beat up because he'll park it in front of this gate and go. I can't say too much on here, but
we were at Oyster Pub one night, and just he's there. We're all hanging out, and he's like, "Hey, let's go outside." We just go out to the street. He opens the back of his Escalade, and he pulls out this blow dart gun. And he's like, let's shoot this pole over here. And, you know, like around the Oyster Pub, it's just, there's cops everywhere.
Yeah.
And the cop just walks up, he's standing there. He's like, are you guys doing? He's like, it's okay. Like, I think we got to put this away at this point, Russ.
I'll try and find the pictures from the trip. The trip was unbelievable. So we landed right there on his property. He's got a landing strip for a runway for the plane. We land right there. He picks us up in this basically F-450 Ford pickup truck with a pontoon boat essentially on the top that he drives from up top. I gotta find this picture. It's unbelievable.
When I tell you, Megan called me one day and she's like, oh, we're over here and we're with Clint and we met one of his sponsors. And I'm like, whoa, which sponsor? And she's like, oh, some guy named Rusty. And I'm like, oh no.
That's me with the blow dart gun and
your
jackrabbit. And so he doesn't. He calls the windshield wipers rabbit holders, so I'll put the rabbits on there.
This guy, I've never seen a more fitting sponsor driver combination than.
So this is when we landed. Here he is coming down the top of this truck.
Oh my God.
PJ.
He is the best.
Just good time bonding out there. So killed my first buck, which was
With
super
him?
cool, and he was doubting me, and then I started asking him questions about the hunting and everything. He's like, man, I thought you were a dumbass this whole time.
Well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Looking like a goofy and I'm walking up here, and then turns out you're a lot smarter than you look, boy.
That's exactly your image, exactly.
Listen, he's the best. So front row, obviously, I got about a bunch of buddies over there. I've worked with Drew before in the past.
He hates you.
I know, he can't stand me.
All those guys hate you.
Everybody,
No,
that's good. I hope they do. It's fine.
I'm kidding.
But so this year, going into this year, obviously new deal, new team. What's a successful season look like for you this year, you think?
Well, we're not off to a very good start right now. We led laps at Daytona, and I felt like we put ourselves in a decent position to have an opportunity to duke it out for the win. And then Recchi made a bad block on Logano, and we all wrecked. So that sucked, and didn't get any stage points there, which was a bummer. So I think I have 13 points. I think
You got more than Briscoe.
Yeah, but I mean, I wrecked yesterday.
Which
we
one?
did get one
was that
stage
the
point.
chase? Was that the chase wreck?
That was the Suarez wreck.
Yeah.
So he was
Gibbs.
coming back up the racetrack and clipped me in the left rear through the tri-oval. So that was a bummer. And then I was kind of bummed out after the race. Damn, you're just at such a deficit when you start going to these real race. I don't want to say real racetracks, but your Phoenixes and Vegases, where qualifying is so important, the metric system on where you're at in points, your fastest lap from the week before, and then your finish. With that metric system going out later in qualifying, we've seen you don't want to be the first handful of cars, right? So you just put yourself at a big detriment going into those weekends than if you start the season out on the right foot. So I think what would be a successful year is, we obviously have goals, and we prepare to try and win every race throughout the week, but sometimes you just don't have the car, things aren't going as good. So just managing the opportunity that we have and minimizing the mistakes and maximizing the opportunity that we have is really the goals I have. And we're 0 for 2 right now to start the year out of 2. Yeah. So it's not going great, but I feel really confident and comfortable with the team that we got right now. We had a few guys, like I mentioned earlier, come over from Stuart Haas, and then we were able to get some new guys in the shop and on the team from going over to the 4-car. So we got a lot of energy. Our car chief, Joey, he's awesome. He came from Legacy. He was up on Eric Jones's car last year, and I worked with him. I was on the 42, but he was on Eric's car. So I knew him a little bit, and we just got a really, really good team that all believes in each other. And this is the first time that I really feel since I was here at Junior Motorsports that we have a team that will go to war with each other and truly, truly has each other's back and has a lot of energy and confidence when we show up.
Before we get into this week, I have to give a shout out to the Gragson fan club, my buddies DeRosa, Pedrati. How are those clowns doing? I have not gotten to see them yet this year.
They love you. They love you. So everybody thinks they're my uncles, but
I think Dave introduced me as this.
yeah, they call themselves as my uncles, but no, they wouldn't. They were fraternity brothers with my dad back in college up at UNR. So they're good dudes, and they like to tear it up and party. And
They are. Something.
You guys have had. I haven't been there for most of the fun
most of you not there
usually
for it.
it's the night before the race, a Saturday night, and you guys are all tearing it up, whether it's in Pensacola or Talladega, wherever it is. But they absolutely love it, and we got a really fun group that comes to the racetrack.
Yeah, they're the two of them are. It's something when you get around those guys.
Seems like you attract a lot of those people.
It happens. Stuff happens.
So Pedrati is a captain of, this might be a touchy subject right now, but he's a captain for Delta Airlines.
Ooh.
But he's actually very, very good at his job, and
he hasn't landed one on his lid yet. So.
yeah. So.
Anyhow,
Anyways.
Thomas, how was your race yesterday? Should I ask?
Well, we got involved in the same wreck with the 51 as Noah did, and man, that thing hit hard. That's
Cody. Yeah, Cody hit real hard.
That I looked at the front clip. That was probably the most crushed front clip I've ever seen. He's going to be a little sore today for sure. I'm going to check on him here in a little bit, but yeah, I mean, Corey was doing well. He was running in the top 20 when he got wrecked there. I think he had a good car, but you know the deal, Noah. I mean, it was crazy. The dirty air was just absolutely insane yesterday. I mean, you could try to do something, then the air would just stop you. It was I
have to lift on exit. I mean, look at Ross. He ran in the mid pack all day and couldn't ever get forward. Then he got track position, I think, at midway through the third stage, and he stayed up there for the rest of the race for the most part.
You
know?
had to fight your ass off all day to stay up there in order to stay up there.
We were up front for most of it. The first two stages, we got stage points. I think we were fourth and second in two stages. But to get stage points in the second one, we had to stay out when a lot of guys flipped it. And then once we got back into, I don't even know where we started, 20th or 22nd, something like that, we were a different car. Like, it's just Bubba was like 2 numbers tighter.
Yeah.
Just in traffic.
Like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
but it's just, it was crazy. And I heard a lot of guys talk about it. My car's driving fine, but Logano talked about once he got shuffled back, it's like you have to have your car set up because you want to be good when you're leading. But if you're not leading, you're just going to be dump truck tight for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think it contributes to the track getting more wore out because there's not as much grip, and obviously the cars are losing grip when there's dirty air. So, yeah, it was interesting to see the difference between the last race there to yesterday. The difference of the handling of the cars. There wasn't as many comers and goers, but yeah, I thought you started up front. You had a good qualifying.
Yeah, we started 10th and threw out the anchor right away.
Yeah.
I was super tight to start the race. And what's weird about that place is I was super good on the bottom through 1 and 2. And if I could hook the line on exit, almost like old Atlanta, how you'd hook the line with your left sides, I could stay on the line all the way on exit, full throttle, so much more throttle time. When I get to the second or third lane off of 2,
just plow.
Extremely tight. And I feel like it loses bank. I just don't feel as compressed in the racetrack when I go to the second and third lane, which is really weird. It's almost like the bottom lane has more banking, and then as you move up the racetrack, it has less for whatever reason. But you have to be in that outside line too, down the straightaway to keep the draft. So it's definitely
hard.
A chess match out there.
Hard.
Yeah, it was an interesting weekend at the racetrack. I'm sure we'll get into some of the Xfinity stuff later on. But so how would you? I mean, you just kind of got stuck mid pack and then just got collected in somebody else's mess, basically.
Yeah, we finished 10th in the second stage and then pitted when all those guys flipped it to start the third stage, and we were mid pack, and then I think a couple of restarts later is when Suarez's wreck was, and just got collected.
How's your spotter? New guy on the roof.
Nick Del Campo.
Nick?
He's doing a great job. There's little things that we're working on each and every week when situations arise, and it's like, oh, I did a really good job here. maybe try this differently. But he is definitely impressed us coming into the year with a new spotter, never spotting in NASCAR much, at least for a contending car throughout the whole race. He's doing a phenomenal job, in my opinion.
He stood next to me at Bowman Gray, and luckily your heat race wasn't eventful at all. I was like, this poor kid hasn't stopped talking yet. Yeah, he's a new guy.
No. Yeah,
Brandon, you probably never even seen him before.
He's been really good on the driver prep side and putting together like clips and film and all the data for pre-race stuff and looking at that and talking together. So he's really valuable in that department, as well as he's pretty good spotter. He hasn't put us in any bad positions.
I feel with you and your team, Drew's really good at calling races, right? And the focus of the team, if get to the point that it's time for him to make those good decisions, he's going to put you in a good spot. So it's he's always seemed to, at the end of the race, get his cars where they need to be for the drivers to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
So
he's one that's never been afraid to kind of go off script. You know what I mean? There's there's guys that just are gonna just keep doing the same thing everybody else does. And Drew, we had him at Petty with Bubba, and I had him at front row, I think, or maybe it was the year before Petty, but like. He's just always been one that just always makes the right call. It's maybe a little bit risky at times, but it always seems to work out for him.
Yeah, he's pretty realistic too. I feel like where he doesn't get caught up in all the drama. He's got a good 30,000-foot view on.
Well, he doesn't care
this
what
is the
anyone
risk that we're willing to take, but it's not, a super risky move. But he's been really good for me. I enjoy him. He's almost like a big brother to myself.
As long as you have that in your head, that belief is there, and you know that he's going to by the end of the day have you in good position, you won't need to make any crazy moves or dumb mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that will come.
The only time was at I hope he watches this, because
let's talk about him.
The only time he's made a bad call, and
wait, hold on a sec. You're flushing the poor guy?
Yeah, I'm flushing him right here. So he's cooked right now. So
he can't even respond, so we're good.
He at Martinsville in the fall last year, he called me to pit road, but it was like half a car length before I was at the box, so I wasn't going to make it. So I stayed out, and we ended up getting like stage points and keeping the track position. We were like
just because you
much older tire, and so I'm like, he thinks I like purposely stayed out, but I was never gonna make it. He won't admit that he knew the call was late, but I ended up staying out, and we ended up benefiting from it. So it was good. So in his defense, I always tell him
that place is always the fastest to go to pit road open, and we can't see. Right, we cannot. It's the hardest thing to judge because it's always the quickest to get. Martinsville's the shortest track. It's always the fastest. So once that caution comes out, we all know we need to make the decisions right then and there. We can't think about it for a lap, right?
Yeah.
Because pit road's on, boom, you're already on pit road. So yeah, that place is very deceiving. On that part, to be able to make a quick decision as a crew chief.
Taking me into the crew chief side of it, Tommy. Obviously, you were crew chief for 600 years.
Last week
when they got all kicked out. But where's the fine line of you want to be aggressive, you want to make aggressive calls, you want to get your guys in position, but obviously you can go overboard at some point. How do you manage that from the box?
Well, you got to understand what you're doing with the air, the clean air, versus the tire wear and where you're at. I mean, that's the whole thought process. And the fuel, right? You have to make sure you don't have to stop 20 laps before anybody or have 30, 40 laps more on your tires, at certain places. So while they're out there running, we're just not watching the race. We're making sure what the next plan is and what we got to do. And it takes, no one knows this. It takes probably the first stage to really understand who you're going to race the rest of the race, right? And then the position you're probably going to be in, and if you don't make any mistakes, or somebody like Drew bails you out and gets you to the next group of cars. I mean, because it goes in steps, right? You have the top 8, you have 8th through 15th, you have 15th through 24th, and you have the rest of the guys that are just
trying to stay on the lead lap. that first run, the hardest thing about cup racing
is race back there.
When you qualify not in that top group, at most of these tracks, just staying on the lead lap for that first run. If you can stay on that lead lap for the first run, you get a chance to work on it. That's the biggest. That determines how your whole rest of the day is going to go. It's so challenging to pass, as you know. So it's a long day if you're going a lap down early, especially at a place like Martinsville or Bristol. Having a bit of a buffer is super key.
The problem is you're always starting in the back, right? And 30 laps you're getting caught again. But it's. I always say they should have a separate TV channel from 24th on back.
Oh,
they would see one hell of a race.
I remember when I was spotting for you, that was where we lived. Like that was just we were scratching and clawing.
I mean, yesterday from 20th on back, 18th on back was intense. We were 3 wide. Guys were dicing it up all day long. We wrecked with like 60 to go, and I was like, man, the race out front is nothing like how it was mid-pack all day where I was, you know? So it's pretty interesting. HBO, is it HBO Max?
The Max,
yeah, that's pretty cool where you can see all the in-car and stuff now. So
it's an audio.
You can get,
They're burning us on that audio thing, but the spotters are having a rough time lately.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys have overpaid, and now it's finally
overpaid. And
kiss my ass.
How much do you get paid to be on Radioactive?
Nothing to be on Radioactive.
Really?
You don't get any points?
Why do you try so hard to get on there
SAP,
every week?
spotter ambassador points.
God, if they did an influencer
SAP.
program for y'all, we'd be screwed.
The one thing, I saw Tim's going nuts about this. Tim's, you got a microphone in there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Tim's was going nuts about this on Twitter last night. Commercials. What was up with commercials last night?
I timed it from the restart to the next commercial was 4.5 minutes.
Is that a lot?
I think so. There was like 5 laps of racing,
And they missed a ton of cautions too.
Yeah, I think the
because
first
of
4
it.
cautions they missed.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then even when they were actually on the air, they did like a Toyota All Out or whatever, and there was a caution. So it's just like they missed everything. It was crazy. You couldn't get in any rhythm watching the race.
So we gave him props last week.
I missed that.
You didn't
Sorry.
see it?
I didn't see
mean,
that.
you probably should have saw the second half at least. So we gave him props last week, and now this week they went and it up, huh?
Yeah.
Straight
All right,
up.
well,
Since we're getting opinionated, I guess we could roll into some spot on, spot off. If you guys,
Absolutely.
unless y'all have any closing thoughts from
Tommy,
Atlanta.
Tommy, a couple things from you, just for like on the technical side of things. I know we had a lot of guys fail tech on Friday, a lot, 20 something guys, right?
24, I think. 24.
What-
25.
We
And
failed for expired window net by 2 months, and then we waited another 4 hours
And you were
to
good?
roll back through. And one of the lead officials said, "Oh, if I would have known that, I would have let you just change it right there." And because we passed everything else, but we failed before we even rolled out of the garage.
We dealt with the same thing. We had our headrest wasn't certified. We sent it out to get it powder coated, and somehow it fell through the loop of not getting back to the seat company to get certified. But I was like, we passed everything. I was like, no way. I am not going through this line again.
Tommy just didn't want a crew chief.
No. Well, that too. But what it was, we got there at 11:30. Well, they got to our car at 3:30.
11:30 on Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
4 hours. We did not see one official for 4 hours. So we got through tech, just like Noah said, no problems, both cars, but we had a safety violation. And finally, I went and got the head guy and said, look, I rolled the car back. We didn't, and they work with us. And like, I don't have a headrest. I have to send somebody from the shop halfway. We got to go pick it up. So what do you want to do? We're going to have to go through this tomorrow. And he's like, give me a minute. So he's like, all right, we approved everything. And we put the shocks on. But it was a...
So, I mean, with 24 guys failing, was it nitpicky stuff or?
Well, yes. So NASCAR, on one of their platforms, they decided after last week they were going to put all brand new tops on their platform. So obviously the wear and tear of everybody, there's everyone, NASCAR's biggest thing is, well, we give you a tolerance,
and
right?
you make sure you use every bit of that.
Yeah, we understand it. But when you change that tolerance and don't tell us, some guys fell for some rear height stuff, and there's a reason why we go as high as we possibly can for places like
allegedly
Atlanta and Daytona and Talladega, for spoil angle type situations for tech, and some guys failed there, and this was really the first time out of the 3 races that we went before practice. There's so many tolerances. I mean, NASCAR has a tolerance difference between their machine and Concord that we are allowed to go to the track.
To the one track.
So it's very, sometimes it's
It's a guess.
It's a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. I tell everybody, I said, sometimes on Fridays, I just go back to the hotel and cry. It's I
don't believe you.
No, really. But back in the day, you only had one of those a year, the Daytona 500. You had to sweat, tech, right? It's every single week because you have no idea what's going to happen. No idea. But, it keeps everybody in line, I guess.
Well, luckily you had plenty of time at the racetrack this week. So.
Yeah. We were there for 3 days for one lap. And then we ran half the race, and then we loaded up and went home. It's great. That schedule,
at least it was a short drive.
Schedule is awesome.
This is a good schedule.
Yeah.
You were home eating Oreos before I took off last night.
We wrecked. Yeah, both cars wrecked.
Oh, that's right. Both cars wrecked. That's why you were home.
We got on our plane, and boom, we were going.
All right, Carson, let's go.
Are you guys ready now? All right. Number 1, William Byron and Austin Cindric wreck racing with Kyle Larson for the lead with 4 to go, setting up overtime. Cindric obviously was not thrilled.
That's how you said that?
What?
She's going to hit you.
What are you talking about?
That's not even how it went.
That's what Alex put on the sheet. So
Did
yell
you
at
watch
Alex.
it?
Yes, I watched
Did
it.
the 5-car wreck the 2?
The 5-car. If you would have just let me go, I have 2 more lines. If you would just let me finish. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, how did you see it?
The 5-car wrecked the 2. Then the 24. I had no.
All right. Well, they all
arrow
wrecked.
push, I guess. And
They
just
all
run
wrecked
right
together.
into the 2.
All right. So I guess Tommy's spot off on that.
Well, he's spot on for the statement that the 5 wrecked the 2.
Yeah. Okay. Spot off for the way I said it. Apparently.
I didn't know. I really didn't. How you were out already? I assume at this point.
Yeah, I was watching it.
What did you think? The 5. Listen, Larson is one of the best out there of putting you in a spot where you need to lift. He's just one of them guys that can kind of crowd you. He can make you run you out of room and make you lift. This just looked like a complete misjudgment to me. I don't think he was being told clear, but because I never saw a point where he was ever really clear to keep moving up, and he just kind of just ran the 2 in the fence at some point.
Yeah, he's been on the other side of things with Denny at Pocono, right, and other races. But the way I saw it is the 5 it's obviously 4 laps to go, so he's trying to clear himself up and make something that's not there. But if he gets clear and he gets a shove, then he probably wins the race. Yeah, so but I think the 2 bounces off the wall as well. The 24's tight. Even if the 2 runs right up against the wall on exit and doesn't come down that half car width, they're probably side by side and door banging off the corner. But with the 2 bouncing off the wall and then coming back down right there, I think it's just a misjudgment on both sides. But had that been lap 40, there's no excuse. But with it being the end of the race, I get every side of things, guys aren't willing to lift.
It's just aggravating because the 2-car ran up front all day, right? Never touched anybody.
Same as last week.
Just is racing everybody clean. Obviously, look, you can tell that the 5-car got tight there.
Lifted. You can see
he definitely fenced the 2.
Yeah. Just.
But like you said, Byron also, no matter what happens with the 2, the Byron's just going to drive into the side of him.
Byron just said, we got to get the 5 to win. I'm just going to clean this guy out. I'm going to finish him off. Watch. Oh, yeah, you're done. I'm going to send you. And oops, I didn't mean to send myself. But.
Oh, man. It just looked like it's like you said, 4 to go. Everybody's going for it.
I think it's racing.
Yeah. At that point, you still got to, Larson's just hoping to get him to lift right there. Just carry him up the racetrack and hope to get him to lift. And unfortunately, the 2 just carried it straight to the fence. And like you said, Cindric, the poor guy, 2 races in a row, he's probably dominated, probably led, I don't know if he led the most laps yesterday, and he's got absolutely nothing to show for it. So a shame for him. I know Danny was calling him the best plate racer we've got these days, and he showed it again yesterday. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the end
all
of
the
it.
Penske guys are good. For Blaney to spin and come back up through the field and finish, fourth?
Yeah. They controlled that race yesterday, and there's points in the race where we got on the bottom and followed, I think it was the 2 and the 22, and they just dragged us the whole bottom line right to 3rd, and then they got clear, went to the top, and we went right to the back. I was like, oh, okay, I figured out where the horses are now.
All right, this is a little deja vu with some caution situations. Christopher Bell wins after NASCAR throws a caution on the final lap while the leaders were entering turn 3. Spot on, spot off, Freddie.
So I'm gonna ask Noah this because I asked Bubba this last week and he really didn't have a great answer. And I don't know. I don't expect you to have a great answer. Like, what do you want them to do? Like, do you want to be driving through a wreck, trying to race back to the line, or do you just want them to throw the yellow when there's an incident?
Yes.
That's
But
the same answer Bubba gave.
Yeah, Bubba.
yes, but the consistency of it.
Yes.
I almost messaged in the group chat, good morning, are we racing back to the checkers today, or are we ending it under caution? Because you don't know, because it's been different every week, right? And we saw it down at Daytona. I understand they're in a tough position, but it's just the inconsistency is what we fear as drivers. I mean, does Carson Hocevar make that move if he knows the caution's coming out?
Yeah.
Probably not. He probably shoves the 5. But he thinks we're racing back to the checkers because in the drivers' meeting they said we have every intent to race back to the checkers. But they're in a tough position, and I understand that. But we'd just like to see more consistency on, hey, throw the caution every time. I did see a tweet yesterday, last night when I was on the plane, and this is going to open up a whole nother can of worms. But even if you're on the white flag, just call the caution, have another green, white
Re-rack
checker.
'em, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
That's what
finish
Bubba-
it under green. If you're going to call the caution in turn 3, then you have opportunity. Hey, we're going to get another shot at it, and guys aren't going to be wrecking into each other. But when you don't know what the caution's coming or not, you have to hold it wide open, and sometimes you're going to
plow through
someone, or
Yeah.
you're going to get through
That's-
unscathed, and everything's going to be okay. But it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, and listen, we've said on here forever, like, same thing. We want consistency. We thought we were starting to get it because they threw the yellow. It's way too early on Thursday at that duel. I thought that was an unnecessary one, but then that put them in a box where I felt like the rest of the weekend they were never going to throw a yellow at the end of the race, which they didn't at the end of the 500. Then they don't throw the yellow on Saturday, and we're all piling through a wreck half the field.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I guess we're just gonna. This is what we're gonna do now. Like, we're just gonna race back to the yellow. And I think that would be fine if everybody knew that was what was coming.
Yeah.
But then Sunday they put out in the drivers' meeting, oh, we made a mistake last night. We probably should have threw the yellow. And they're, like you said, they're no win situation because no matter what you do, everybody's going to complain. And I've said this on here before for years. Like, that caution, a caution is a caution. Like, if Blaney, a single car spin on the apron for Blaney is a yellow, then that's whether it's lap 1 or lap 260, a caution is a caution. You know, and if you're going to throw the yellow for Blaney spinning by himself on the apron, you have to throw the yellow for a 20-car pileup down the
Right.
back straightaway.
100%.
You know? And and Bubba said the same thing you said on here last week. He said, if there's only 2 fixes to this, in my opinion. You either do away with green, white checkers and just end the race at lap 260 yesterday and throw the checker under yellow, or you just have nonstop green, white checkers until we cross the start finish line under checker, because you're never going to fix this. It's going to be different race directors. There's going to be different people up there. They're going to hit the button at different times. You're never going to get what you're looking for in this scenario, like complete consistency or the right call every time. So you either just keep racing until we have nobody left, or just get rid of the green, white checkers.
I mean, what'd you guys think of Nashville last year when guys were running out of fuel?
That was when I started harping on here. I'm like, let's just stop doing, because we know, and you.
That's
like,
the problem is
you're a driver.
we
You
wreck
know,
every
like,
time, right?
You're gonna have to
a
go
NASCAR
for it.
situation.
What are you gonna do on a green, white checker? You're gonna
Absolutely.
everything you can get, whatever spot it is. You're going 110% trying to get that spot, and that's what everybody else does. And Nashville was a perfect example where we just continued to crash.
Oh, they're in Indy, right? Same situation.
It's just. That's why I said, I'm all for just get rid of them. Just because all we do is tear up race cars.
You remember why they got rid of them?
Well, I don't remember why we ever, why we started green, white checkers. Just for fans, they wanted a more exciting finish.
And that's the problem. I think they're so involved right now with social media and worried about the world. They're not worried about us. They're not worried about them anymore. You know, look, just make the decision, right? Throw the. What has been so wrong about throwing the caution?
Yeah.
In case of emergency, right? I mean, obviously that wreck happened. If they still crossed the line, they were still in danger. Everybody, the emergency vehicles couldn't get to the guys that wrecked. there's all types of situations. What if the wreck probably happened on the backstretch going into 2, they probably wouldn't have thrown the caution, right?
Yeah.
So it's a situational situation, right? Wherever it happens, they have to make a split-second decision, first of safety, the driver's safety. So I don't know, man. It's just I think they're getting caught up in worrying about what everybody thinks instead of doing their job.
We see that. We see it like they won't throw a yellow during pit cycles. Like I'm like, if it's a yellow, it's a yellow. It's not a case by case basis of when you're going to throw the yellow. Like we're not going to throw a yellow because like it was here. Was it here last year where they all wrecked coming to pit road?
Yeah.
And they're scattered over there in turn 3, and we're good. We're not going to throw the yellow because it's going to the pit cycle. Like that should not come into play. It's either a yellow or it's not.
All right, next. Multiple drivers frustrated with Carson Hocevar during and after the race.
No, really?
Yeah, do I even need to read the quotes? I mean, I think we all heard them.
You can read some of them. Let's hear them.
Kyle Busch, go tell that 77 he's done the same move 10 times. I don't care if I wreck the whole field. I'm over him. He's back.
Jesus.
I'm going to wreck his ass.
This is a quote, right?
That's bad. The
That's a
quote,
yeah.
quote unquote. I didn't say anything like that. Blaney was mad. Chastain talked to him after the race. Spot on, spot off. Tommy.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, same thing. I mean, he's going to learn someday, but he needs to learn pretty quick because he's going to start getting wrecked and cost himself and his team a lot of money. Again, great, talented race car driver. Car's been fast. He just needs to harness it, man.
I told Bubba one of you guys gonna have to get a step stool and punch him in the face at some point. Like maybe not a but listen, like for me, and I don't know how Noah feels about it because you got to race with him, but like obviously he was ultra aggressive, really fast race car, and it's kind of following the mold of a Stenhouse, a Logano, a McMurray back in the day. Like and these ultra aggressive plate racers, while they might wreck a lot, they win races. Jamie McMurray won plate races. Stenhouse wins plate races. Logano, probably one of the best plate racers in our sport. Like, this is where at the end of the day, he was ultra aggressive. I didn't want to be anywhere near him on the racetrack.
It had nothing to do with the plate race. He was doing it at Bowman Gray. He's done it every racetrack last year.
I'm just singling out last night. You didn't want to be around him on the racetrack, but when it came down to it, he's 3 wide for the lead.
Yeah, because he had a really fast race car, and he still wrecked a lot of people and ran into a lot of people on the way. I mean, it's not.
How do you balance that? Obviously, you got to. You've been in position. You have fast race cars. How do you balance? Do you give a what people think about you while you're out there?
I mean, you do ultimately because your respect level on the racetrack that determines how people race you and put you in different positions. So, I have obviously had my fair share of mishaps throughout my career and on the racetrack, but I feel like I have a lot more respect and understanding now that I'm older on being more patient, putting myself in better positions and not, ruining other people's day because, you got to race against these guys 38 weeks in a row in multiple years. And he's really, really fast and he's up there. I mean, he drives the wheels off that thing. But eventually there becomes a point where it's a detriment each and every weekend because guys race you super, super hard each and every week instead of pointing you by if you're faster or letting you go. They're just going to race the out of you every single time you're out there, and it ultimately hurts you in the long run. So nobody's perfect, and we all mess up and misjudge stuff on the racetrack, but it's not fun. You got to know, in my point of view, I try to always know who I'm around. There's certain guys that you can race side by side and 3 wide with, and there's other guys where you're like, man, this guy, he's a dart with one feather. He's still going to get there, and he's going to get there fast, but you don't know where he's going to be or where he's going to go, and that inconsistency doesn't scare you, but it puts you on guard of, man, I don't want to be around this guy.
Have you been in a position where you get out of the car like Carson did last night, and there's every interview is just
they're lined up,
just lined up one,
and 100%.
What is that even like? I mean, you just like you think like I think watching some of Carson's interviews, like he thinks he had a great night, he finished second, whatever it was, and then you get out of the car and you're like, oh, like everybody's mad at me.
Nobody wants to be in a boy band with him.
Wow, that was a weird comment. I don't know.
in 2 years from now, you're going to look at the result sheets and say, if he ran second and did what he did on the racetrack each and every weekend, but he still ran in the top 5 every race, you'd be like, man, this guy's unbelievable stat-wise, right? But people forget over time, so as he progresses and gets better to race with, I think it'll be okay, but he's just got to pick a lane, a fork in the road if he wants to go right or left, and that's, I'm going to continue to race this way, and I might have good results, and thumbs up. He's doing his job, and he's getting the results. At the end of the day, that's what this is about, is results, but he's going to piss a lot of people off on the way.
And like, if anybody's not familiar, you guys don't forget. Like, I'm sure you have a list of guys, you don't have to name any of them, but like, there's guys you race harder than other guys because of however they race you, whether it's Cup, Xfinity, whatever it is. Like, you guys know, like, like this guy's, I'm going to make his life difficult no matter who it is or what they've done to you in the past. Like, this is the guy I'm going to race at him right here because he ran me 3 wide into a corner 5 years ago or whatever it was.
100%. Or you just take care of them.
Yeah.
When it's,
time.
we keep tabs on everyone. And, when there's a big moment transferring in the next round of the playoffs or something, 2 years down the road, this guy raced you like one time.
He's got a
You're
year.
gonna be a
He's
pain
got
in
a
the
year
ass.
under his belt. Enough's enough, man. Learn how to race. I'd say it time and time again. Mark Martin should write a book or do a video, and every new race car driver, no matter what, at 4 years old, needs to start watching Mark Martin's video on how to race, and we'd have a much better sport.
I think a part of the problem is every lap counts now, and every position counts. It's back in the day, they used to point guys by because they were racing 38 races. Now we race it race by race, lap by lap. Instead, you'd point a guy by, and you know, a 7th was a good day because you're just stacking points.
But that's not true because it's a math thing. Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, they all understood it. And if you guys race side by side for 5 laps, you give up more time to the next guy or the leader
than
just letting him go. I mean, it's just something that's like, and you look at why are you racing us to death like this? Let us go. Let's both get in cleaner air and not get lapped or not get in trouble with the 10th place guy that's catching us. You know, it's
just so different. Even for you, I'm sure for you, like,
it's just hard to pass. Everybody's racing at 110% each and every lap.
So why do you want the next group catching you then?
Because if you hold that guy off,
then he was gonna deal with them
he's
first.
getting past, and you're good. You're holding your track position. You're not getting passed by a freight
I feel like
train
this is even different from Xfinity to Cup for you. You know, like, obviously you had a really fast Xfinity car. Some nights you could let that guy go, and eventually your car is going to come around to where you liked it. You can go back and pass him. Now, if you let somebody go in the Cup Series, there's a good chance you're never passing that guy again. Like, it's just the way.
I agree.
Like, that's the way it is. Like, you can't. Like, and it's so up that a lot of it, tire wear or heat really in tires is the problem. So, like, if you just hold the guy off for 10 laps and let him get his tires hot, you'll never see him again. You just drive away, and it sucks to race that way. Because I remember, like, when I spotted for you, and that's the way we were, like, just we don't need to race. We're trying to just get a top 25, top 20, whatever it is. Like, we don't need to get in trouble. We don't need to race. But now you just have to race every lap like you're trying to aero block or just hold the guy off and heat his tires up so you can drive away. And it's frustrating when you're the guy that's better and you catch the guy and he just races to death. But it's just the way it is.
When I see 2 or 3 guys, senior guys, still to this day, not do that, and at the end of the stage or at the end of the race, they're the best cars passing the most cars. I still don't believe it. I think that's something that's in their heads that they have to do. Harvick was really good at. Denny's really, really good at it. A couple other guys out there are really good at saving their stuff, understanding what they got to do. And if everybody raced like that, it would probably be the same and better racing. It drives me nuts on how we have to race today, or if we think we have to race today in order to advance.
Do you think Kyle Busch races differently with this next-gen car than he did beforehand?
I think Kyle Busch is overdriving what he has right now. I think I don't think he really is in love with this car, and it's really hurting him. I mean, he's one of the most talented race car drivers in the world, right? But I just don't think it fits him. I think not practicing really aggravates him. I think when he's on the track, again, his statistics showed it. When he runs a truck race, he's better on Sundays. I I think that he has not fully probably bought into what he needs to do and how aggressive he needs to be driving these cars to a certain point, right? And when he does get over aggressive, he's spinning out or he's doing things on his own. You know, it's like, man, that's not the Kyle Busch that we all know that can outdrive everybody when he has really, really good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, everybody has to drive differently, right? I mean, I think the guys think that they have to be aggressive, but they don't. I don't think they have to be. I don't. I see the leaders of the band not have to do that, and they're there. They're there every race. You know, you didn't hear one word about Ryan Blaney after he spun out, get back to fourth. Did he touch anybody? Did he wreck anybody?
He didn't need to. He was riding a rocket ship.
Was it say, he was in a Ford.
That's what I'm getting at. Is this is really, really fast to where if he makes mistakes,
He'll
he'll get
recover.
back up
Yeah.
there. Where if you're average, you have to race every single lap to keep your track position because it's so hard to get it back.
Oh, I understand, but you can be average and still be 9 out of 10 times you're going to get in trouble, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be a dickhead out
Right.
there.
9 out of 10 times when you're over aggressive, you're going to be in trouble. And I just see a lot of guys making a lot of mistakes on the track during the race and bump into somebody and bend something a little bit and hurt the rest of the race. And the car's a piece of now. Yeah, you think? So you know, it's I don't know. I just I guess I'm still too old school on that.
Well, you are old. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I am. But I just think we can all do ourselves a better, all do ourselves a favor by racing a little bit differently. And yeah, like you said, Carson pissed off a lot of people, but he finished second last night, right? And he did his job, what he was supposed to do, but it's going to hurt him down the road.
We're
It
going to
comes
think
back.
about the long
Yeah.
game.
It comes
Yeah.
back eventually.
Yeah.
All right. Justin Allgaier chooses not to block Austin Hill on the last restart of the Xfinity race.
What the like the
I didn't watch. I was at Dave and Buster's.
So they like the 21 dominates the entire race. Is this the last restart? Yeah. 21 dominates the entire race. Justin gets clear right here down the back straightaway.
By a mile.
And
What are we doing?
just let him come back around the top of us. Like we don't have to worry about nothing here.
Was he just?
Who were the two cars behind him? He had a
His teammate, he had a teammate, but who cares?
Yeah.
Like you have to, if you have to cover the fastest car in the race, and it's been the 21 every plate race for the last 3 or 4 years, like you gotta get in front of that guy.
That
like,
pissed me
you
off.
You can't just let him have a lane to drive back around you.
I was confused that he didn't start behind him.
Yeah, you
fourth.
talked about this. Me and you talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, because every
would push
restart
out,
they
yeah.
would push out, then make you move. But yeah, I don't know if.
I mean, what's he got? We're going to call Eddie. See what the hell Eddie
Yeah.
was doing.
yeah, I don't know what he was doing.
I don't know. And to your point, Tommy, every time the 21 was clear into one, like every restart,
Yeah.
whoever was behind him, really. But right here, like,
yeah, but even at regular mile and a half, the outside lane is going to
It's
roll
beneficial
with
off
the
it too,
momentum.
yeah.
Like,
I just couldn't, we were back there, like one of the last cars in line because we were like 15 laps down. And I'm spotting live down the back straightaway. I'm like, the 7's got to cover the top here, right? He's gonna do it. No,
Was he worried about just taking care of his teammate and his mind?
I mean, I don't know. His
Who gives
interview
a
afterwards was a little strange too, but like, you got to pull up right there.
Yeah.
You have to pull up right there. Yeah. And now he's back outside you and the game's over. Yeah. Like he's just going to drive back around you. For me, like Austin Hill is obviously phenomenal plate racer. Very, like the RCR cars can do whatever they want, like the Penske cars can on Sunday. But that's the guy you got to keep bottled up. If you're out there racing, you know this. You've raced against them guys in this race. Like the 21 of the 2 are the guys you got to kind of base your race off of. You got to keep those guys bottled up. You let them get out front, they can't get around them.
Jesse was pretty good in the beginning, but as soon as I think about mid-race when the Stewart Haas cars got a little strong there and they shucked the 2 away from the 21. The 2 never got back there. Not back to the front. Never got back to the front.
because he had an average car.
Yeah.
I noticed.
Here we go.
I noticed I think they were more trimmed out than the 21 was because they qualified a little bit better, and the 21 I think had more downforce. So once you lose track position when your car's really trimmed out, it's kind of a handful to get back up in there. But this was mind-boggling to me to not at least block the 21. Poor Retzlaff. Retzlaff had a good run. He got wiped out here.
I was
last
surprised Almirola went to the
Right there,
bottom,
yeah.
right there, off of 4.
With no help.
Because the way you're gonna pass is by taking distance in the corner, taking
Yeah.
less distance, and then trying to slide them and
up,
clear them.
like Larson.
You're not gonna do it.
He lost his
especially down the
distance.
front straightaway.
Oh, red
Lord.
slide. Stay green. Stay green.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. They're wrecking.
Well, it happened in the backstretch. It happened in the backstretch. It didn't happen going into turn 1. So I mean, they made a decision. The wreck last night happened going into 1. So taking the check.
Well, there's like 3 wrecks on the last lap last night. It was
Oh
pretty
yeah.
big.
He's good. Austin Hill
Yeah.
is
Yeah, kudos to him.
one
and his
hell
race
of a
team.
speedway racer.
Yeah.
All right, we have a new twist to spot on, spot off this year, and our host gets to ask each other questions if they have any.
What page? Are we on?
Number 3, Lord, I have a question for Tommy. Do you know what a situationship is? It's my word of the day for you today.
No,
A situationship.
no. I'm always in situations.
Noah, can you help explain it?
I don't know what the
Oh, you know what a situationship is. You've probably been in 1 or 2 of them.
Currently, maybe.
Maybe.
Situation or ship. I've been in a lot
Situation.
of situations.
Can you give us? Are you in a
I didn't get-
situationship these days? or where are
Not
we at?
currently. Ended last week, but
Oh, ended last week.
Oh, so
a
it's
situationship is like a relationship that isn't really like there's no label on it, but like it's just a mess.
yeah,
That's Tommy's whole life,
Yeah, I mean,
basically.
yeah, I'm in a lot of situations.
His 2 marriages prior.
Yeah.
Tommy's poor Beth is in a situationship.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Your
She
kids
ca-
will probably know what that
She
means. You
came
should ask
home
them.
last night. I mean, she was hot. I mean, just mad at all of us. And she,
What'd you guys
What'd
do?
y'all do?
I have no idea. But basically, she just told us, gave us all the finger and went outside and lit the fire and sat outside. And I
Hell
was like,
yeah.
Meg. This cracks me up still. I texted Carson this last night. And I had to include laughing. Megan went to the Lil Wayne concert last night.
I'm pissed I didn't know that Lil Wayne was in town. I would have went.
Who'd she go with?
Ashley Brim, Ashley Smalley now, I guess Phil Smalley's wife, a couple of her friends. That was when she told me that, I was like, "You're going where?" Like, and then of course Megan is like maybe the most straight edge person on the planet. And she texted me last night. She's like, I think I'm getting high for the first time in my life. She's like, I'm just breathing the
Like
air
a
at this
contact.
concert.
Lord.
So she showed up at Big Al's. We went to Big Al's for a little while last night. Carson couldn't come. She wasn't allowed.
I was being responsible.
But she showed up, I don't even know what time, 1 o'clock or so. And I was like, oh, thank God you're here. You can drive home. So just I hope you're not high.
I got a question for Noah. So, how's the transition?
How's the
How's the
transmission?
transmission?
You got good trannies over there in front of
The transition been from out west to here? Because it happened pretty quick for you, right?
it's a lot different. It's a lot different going from Vegas, which is a pretty all around 24-hour a day city, and coming out here to gas stations closing at 9 or 10 p.m. and you can't get food after 9, and other than going to Cookout or Taco Bell or something. So that it's definitely slower pace out here. It drives me nuts when you're on a 2-lane road and you're in the back country and you got somebody in front of you going 10 under the speed limit and you're like, geez, like nobody has anywhere to go quick. But it's I'm starting to enjoy it more. But with the lake here is nice, but we don't ever get to really go out there because we don't have any time.
Yeah.
But I hated it at first moving out here. I always like going back west, but I'm starting to enjoy it more now that I got more buddies out here and kind of.
Well, half of them are out here now.
Yeah,
right? So, which is
yeah.
cool.
Zane
What-
and Riley, we all grew up racing against each
What
other.
about the racetracks? How many different racetracks did you guys race out there?
I only ran like 2 or 3 racetracks out there. So I started racing in 2012 at the Bull Ring in Legend Cars, or in Bandoleros. Then I moved up into Legend Cars for the next 2 years. 2013, 2014, I ran Kern County and Tucson Speedway, but never ran Irwindale and Legend Cars or anything. But that's the biggest difference out there is every track's like 4 hours apart, give or take. Out here, they're 40 minutes, it seems like. Like, there's just so many tracks in a 100-mile radius of Charlotte. So we came out here during the summertime. It would run the summer shootout, and I think the first year we came out here in 2013, we were out here for 10 days, and we were on a racetrack 8 of the 10 days on different tracks. So we'd run the summer shootout Monday and Tuesday. We'd go test at like Concord. We'd go test at Dillon the next day. We'd go find a race on Friday. Like we went up to Shenandoah, Virginia. No, Southside Speedway up in Virginia, up in Richmond. And then we went to Shenandoah in West Virginia the next day and then had a day off and then tested again. So that was super cool to be able to be on track damn near half a season out on the West Coast because we'd only race, 12 or 13 times out there, race weekends. So we were on track a lot. You could just get so much more racing. What I think is super interesting is I started racing when I was 13 years old, and now you got kids that are 10, 11 years old that are in full-size stock cars, and it's pretty wild to think, like, man, this next generation of kids, they're getting younger and younger, and they're better and better. So with iRacing and everything like that, it's definitely pretty neat to see all those young kids coming in the sport and being so good as young as they are.
You talk about coming up through the sport, and I'm sure there's a ton of people that have helped you along the way, but one person I've been actively trying to get him to come on here and co-host, but Brandon McReynolds obviously has been a big part of your career. Like, what's it like working with Brandon? I know a different side of Brandon than most people do, but what's it like just working with Brandon? I know he's been a huge part of your career.
Yeah, so we were racing against each other in 2015 out in the K&M West Series, and I wrecked him at Sonoma, coming back to the white flag and turn 11 and turned him into the pit road, like that little access road to pit road. And then the next weekend we went to State Line Speedway up in Idaho, and he had a sway bar arm come loose. So he was driving around there with no sway bar, and we were running third or fourth, and he's like, oh, here's my time to get this little shithead. So he barreled it off in there and jacked me up and set me pretty hard, and I hung on to it, and then he got me again a couple laps later, and then finally I drove away, and he's like, damn, I can't wreck this guy, So he called me after that, and I really didn't know him, and he's like, hey, I'm done. If you're done, like, we're good, and that's really where the relationship started. And then 2016, he was out of the Napa ride because Todd Gilliland was going into it for Bill McNally out on the West Coast. And we hired him to driver coach me and spot and just kind of show me the ropes of what it takes in my second year in the K&N series and start working on, business development and management and all that. So he kind of transitioned from a driver coach into my manager and handling all the day-to-day stuff for me and partners and whatnot. So it's been cool to see his progression throughout the years on almost being self-taught. He's had a lot of, mentors and a lot of help. Joe Mattis here at Junior Motorsports is he's one of the best when it comes to business, and he's helped him a lot and been a very valuable part of our relationship between Brandon and I, because really without Brandon's help and support and his hard work, none of this stuff goes on. So just big shout out to him, because he's been there in the trenches with me when times are not so good, and also been there for the good times. So
I'm going to need you to jump on the bandwagon and tell him to stop being a and come on here and hang out with us, because he's I'm a little disappointed in him about it.
We haven't heard from him in the old group chat lately.
He's probably afraid to answer that group chat, because that group chat kind of goes off the rails just quite a bit.
Imagine that.
Hey, it's Dale Jr., and for the latest DBC gear, we need you to go to shop.dirtymomedia.com. We've got plenty of options, and we're adding new stuff all the time. Shop.dirtymomedia.com.
It's time for Reaction Theater, where fans can call in and voice their opinions from this weekend's race. And let's get into it.
Dear God.
We have 8
Ricky
calls.
Stenhouse has went from wrecking all the foreign drivers to now he's taking out all the local guys at each racetrack. What is he thinking? Come on, Ricky Stenhouse.
Ricky. Poor Ricky.
Said Chase.
Somebody reached out to me this week and
Chase?
they think you don't like Ricky. Is that true?
No, that's not true
That's
at all.
not
I mean,
true.
I talked to him the other day about we were going over a story, because when the wife was getting ready to have the baby, Ricky's wife, he pulled out of his driveway, and I was behind him, and obviously was a little pressure on Ricky getting her to the hospital. And I knew it was him, but I didn't know that was the issue. So we're on 150, and, you know, there's a lot of lights on 150. So he's like, stops because of the red light, and I pull over, I look at him. Pull over, look at him. And I'm like, man, what the hell are you doing? He's like, dude, I was having my baby, and I didn't know what to do. And I was trying to take my time, and I didn't realize that I was supposed to be in a rush because she broke water, and all kinds of was going on. I'm like, all right, cool. So we were in the airport the other day getting ready to take off, and he had the baby. You know, they had the baby there. But no, I get
So y'all
along
are
with
all
Ricky.
good.
I get along with Ricky fine. It's just
You've been a little critical of him.
well, when he straps that helmet on, he loses a little blood pressure. That's all. I mean, little blood flow. But you know, Ricky's a good guy. I mean, but yeah, he likes to hit everything on the way through.
Carson Hocevar at the end of that race was like, when you do something stupid in school and get chewed out by your teacher, then get chewed out by your mom when she picks you up, then get chewed out by your dad when he gets home. Everybody was tapping that ass.
Did he say everybody was?
Tapping that ass, what he said. I don't think that. We might have to visit that slang section again and see if that's what that means.
You know what that means?
Right.
Tapping that ass?
Don't answer that. Just say no. Shout out Ryan McGee. Ryan McGee had the tweet of the night, I thought. Like the movie
video?
Airplane.
Yeah.
You remember the movie Airplane where they're like, I forget, like somebody's freaking out in the chair and they just all walk up and like shake him and slap him in the face. He's like, this is Carson Hocevar after the race is over. And it's just a line of people slapping him in the face.
Spot on.
We're on spot on again?
In my weekend, though, me and my buddy at the bar Friday night, selling fireball shots, I hear a very, very distinguishable voice. I look over, it's Tommy Baldwin over there just chilling. It's like, hey. I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to leave a message for you. It's Fat Thor. Nice to meet you. I tweeted the picture of us, and Freddie helped me get the most views I've ever had. Let's go, boys.
Those two boys were big boys.
Big guys.
And they were sitting and he was yapping, man. I mean, you can tell the whole bar knew his whole life story, you know. and yeah, they were fun. Fun to listen to.
I gave him a piece of advice. I said, if I was you, I'd get the hell out of there as soon as possible because Tommy will stick you with the bill. I've been there before. Like I said, you better leave right now.
There's a reason why I stick all of you guys with the bill.
Yeah, I think it's probably just working off a tab.
Yep.
Man, these commercials is getting out of hand. I'm out of alcohol, and we ain't even halfway through this. Holy I'm watching a goddamn Subway commercial right now, and I don't even want Subway.
Alex, is that you? Yeah, my goodness. How do you disguise your voice like that? That's pretty good.
They got him to say Subway, though.
True, though.
Hey, that's it.
Guess the
Good
commercial worked.
advertising.
Well, when you got Ross Chastain giving you advice after the race, you know you f***ed up. Go 12.
Go 12.
Go 12.
Go 12. That's definitely.
Do you think
Was that right?
Ross has calmed down? Have you
Oh,
seen
yeah,
a different
100%.
Ross?
Ever since that Darlington deal where Rick Hendrick called him out in that press conference. I don't know what happened behind the scenes at Chevy or whatnot, but ever since that day, I feel like he's been way more team. Did you see that on the racetrack?
Yeah, 100%.
So he's more comfortable to race around.
Yeah.
So you can do it if you want to, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
could.
absolutely. Yeah, you could do it if you wanted to.
But if you have a car, you got to block his ass.
But
yeah, and wear your out.
I feel like before Ross was running a lot better too before he calmed down. So it's a
double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword.
What the is a caution? How is it that the same wreck 2 days in a row is a different outcome? How is it that since Daytona, this has happened 5 times? 5 times! Different calls each time. How is that possible?
That's Eric Jones.
That was David. The kid.
Eric's
the
still,
kid.
he's still bitter.
We need to give him Elton's
Like Tommy said, let's talk about Elton. That was interesting on the end of the
Wait
race.
on that. Wait on
that. Like Tommy said, they are a victim of social media. Like, they saw a lot of outrage after Eric's duel, so they tried to make a change for the 500. Then they tried to carry that change through the race the other night, and they realized this is a bad idea to just have guys piling through this wreck on Saturday night. So it's just, there's a no-win situation. Whatever they do, they're going to be wrong.
Last night they let
sit out. Even though they're wrecking on the backstretch, there was no doubt. Fans were screaming loud and they were on the edge
Me
of
at Saeed's.
NASCAR let them race it to the line and they kept it moving. Well, today was not like last night. NASCAR's a yellow flag and the fans are pissed. Last lap of the race and they throw that. Just saying Carson could have had that win and Fox. Your broadcast sucks tonight. Can't wait for NBC. Makes me want to take a bath and put a toaster in with me.
Oh,
there's
Mr.
the toaster
Corner.
bath.
Hey, I got a question that made me think. Fox and NBC did so qualifying was on Prime this past weekend.
Was it?
CW, right?
I ain't
Was
got a
it
clue.
CW? Was it Prime?
No,
Yeah,
Prime
Larry,
for
Larry
Cup.
had the Prime deal. Will they post the ratings for that? Like, will we be able to see
For
the
just
numbers
ratings
of
Prime.
qualifying last year on Fox
I was
compared
on
to?
Amazon, yeah.
I don't know that I don't know that I've ever seen, which they might because it's a one-off.
It'd be interesting to see because now you have to buy so many. I mean, I feel like everybody has Netflix and
I have a login to about everything you can imagine.
But
It's like so many streamers.
There's like
moved off my
15
family.
streaming things that you need to have now. I'm wondering how the ratings are going to be just based off of you can't go on the TV. I realize everything's going streaming now, and it's a lot easier.
It'd just be interesting to see what that difference is.
You got to think it's going to be low. I would not low, but lower obviously than Fox or FS1 even. I thought it was funny last week. Obviously the ARCA race got big views, and Cletus was in the race, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's the Cletus McFarland." Which shout out to Cletus, got us around here 1 million views. Where are you guys at Where are you at nowadays? How many views did you get on Dale's show last
like
week?
1.5. I listened to it last night.
So shout out to Cletus, but also you got to remember they're like, oh, he did more than the truck race, and I'm like, well, it was also on Big Fox, versus FS1. So Cletus probably definitely drew eyes to the sport. That was also didn't hurt. That
Cletus is big right now on the no sleeve program.
It's ripping sleeves off.
Like,
I saw
with
somebody
Biffles, YouTube,
Biffle, that's
and
what it
then
was.
so he's driving for Red Jones Racing, which
Mark.
They've been really good to me, Terry and Mark Rett, and
shout out to Terry, just bought a damn late model company.
yeah, it's
Sure
pretty
did.
cool. Port City Race Cars, shout out if you're
you
a
need a late
racer
model.
racing late models.
Tommy,
Port City
you
Race
been
Cars.
buying any late models lately? You
No,
gotta
I just sold mine. I was, not enough time.
So Pastrana texted me the other night, and there's a number in there that I didn't recognize. So I open it up. He's like, "Hey, Noah, it's Travis and Cletus. Here's Cletus' number. Cletus, take it from here." He's like, "Hey, come down to the Freedom 500. We're gonna race Crown Vics down at my track, and the loser of us three has to wear no sleeves for a month." He's big on this no sleeve program, and Biffle's got to do it and stuff. If he gets like 100,000 subscribers,
He already did. He lost.
Did he?
Yeah, he's sleeveless.
Yeah, I saw the video of somebody ripping his sleeves off in a
he's
restaurant
sleeveless.
the other day.
Yeah.
I was talking to Doug Yates the other day. We were working out, and we work out at the same place over at Roush Yates' building. And I was like, could you imagine like having to go into like a Ford Super Speedway meeting or a Ford meeting and
sleeves.
Edsel Ford's in there and you got no sleeves and you got to walk into literally every sponsor dinner and everything and say, hey guys, like here's why I'm wearing no sleeves. I lost a bet. Like you'd have to do that same speech every single place you go. But that was
I got last week because I made a comment about the ARCA race being a show, which obviously it was at Daytona, and I said something about a YouTuber, and I was talking about that that spun out in front of everybody and wiped out the whole field.
But people
I
thought
remember
you
his
meant-
name, but everybody thought I meant Cletus, and I'm like, all right, I should have been more specific. I apologize.
I thought you
But-
meant him. I'm like,
No, it was that other guy. He's a YouTuber now. His social media is. I
they had a
can't
big race
stand
at
it.
his track last weekend.
They had like a
The Ultima 600.
Ultimate, yeah.
That's good. I mean,
It's 76 of them.
He does a hell of a job.
Did
at
you
what he
see
does.
his YouTube video from Daytona on the race?
I saw where he got in trouble for one. Because he ran his in car at the test
He
and
wasn't
got
allowed
on
to.
probation.
So he had an in-car. He posted a video at Daytona. I watched it the other day before we went to Atlanta, and he wrecked at Daytona. Well, the in-car, the safety worker comes up and he's like, "Do you know where you are?" And he's like, "Talladega." And the guy's like, "Oh, he's all." And he's like, "No, I'm just messing with you."
He's a national treasure. All right. It's time.
One last thing. Shout out Richard, Atlanta Care Center. I bumped his in off him. He's the helicopter pilot that flies a Flight for Life helicopter at Atlanta Infield Care Center. So shout out Richard for the Zin and the Care Center.
If you need Zins in Atlanta, you know where to find them.
You have your fancy Zin holder on you?
No.
I can't believe that.
No, it's like, no.
Cannot believe that.
I don't do that, but shout out to him.
Shout out Richard.
Well, it's been like 20 minutes since we finished the last call, but to leave an audio message 24/7, you can call our number at 704-802-9572, and we'll play the best ones each week on the show. And now it's time for Ask DBC, and you can send in your questions on X each week using hashtag AskDBC, and we will answer the best ones. Danny the Phantom wants to know, with the recent history of close finishes and exciting racing in Atlanta, would you guys like to see other tracks reconfigured to an Atlanta-like style, and if so, which tracks?
No.
So I'm going to actually go the other way. Not so much maybe with the Cup cars yet, but I'd like to see them just take the plates off the Xfinity cars. Like, let them guys go out there and race their ass off. Because, like, that Xfinity race I felt like the other day was just straight up single file. Austin and the two were controlling the whole race. And you can't get out of line because if you don't get clear and back in line, you're going to the tail of whatever the that line is. So, like, I'm almost to the point now where I think it's racy enough to, like, just, like, let's ditch the drafting package for the Xfinity cars and let them go out there and race and see what the hell that's like, because I thought that race was not that great the other night. You know, the end was okay because they got to race in like the last couple laps of each stage, but I loved Atlanta. Like, I'm sure you were the same way. Like, back the old Atlanta, worn out, Harvick kicking our ass, running around the bottom of 1 and 2. That was one of my favorite racetracks. So I'm just hoping we get back there at some point, but I definitely do not. So I heard a rumor the other day or yesterday that they were talking about doing this with Kansas, and I'm like, dear God, please don't do that anywhere else.
Kansas is a great track. Like,
yeah.
This place is so fun, and it's getting to that point now where I'm sure when we go back there for the summer race, guys are going to be a lot more focused on getting the cars to handle like a normal 1.5 miles rather than just trimmed out aero stuff. Because when you get 3-4 rows back in the race, they drive so bad and it drives completely different up front. So the problem with where Atlanta's at right now is the draft is so powerful that you're searching for clean air in the corner, but if you don't get up in that line of draft, then you're screwed. So that's what I think. I don't know if we need more power, but it's just kind of in on that awkward phase when you get a bad haircut and it's growing out. Like if you shave your head and it's growing out and you're in that.
You don't know anything about bad hair. You don't know anything about bad haircuts, do you?
No, I've never had one. Never had one.
At least you didn't get into a fight that week or anything. That was good.
Yeah, I mean, they need to keep working on, I think, the tire and the engine package. I mean, we need to start getting off the gas a little bit more.
I did feel like the tires wore out more than
yesterday.
Yeah, this past weekend, 25, 30 laps into a run, you could see guys starting to get super tight off the corner, and that's where I think the focus of getting the balance and the handling it will be more important than trimming out for the race. And
keep going that direction, please. Just let them get off the gas, and more time off the gas is going to be more passing.
Off throttle time equals good racing.
The problem is you get tight behind guys right now, and you're having to bail out of the throttle off of 2. Well, with the restrictor plate on there, it just takes so long, and you're getting freight train. So,
y'all got any nominees for the Show Hall of Fame this week? Chris Wright won last week.
Whose ever idea it was to just sandblast these poor in the truck race. Wait, have you ever had that happen to you? Like,
trucks don't have
right side window. No, like they got.
No.
I'm talking sandblasted, and like they park the trucks right at the accident scene, so all the speedy drives right outside of them, and then they come by with the jets and just KO these guys in the right side window. I know Kyle was pretty pumped about it. I'm sure I saw a couple other guys make comments about it, but that's got to be towards the top of the list for me.
I mean, another nominee that we have listed here. I don't want to read it all the way through, but
did you see this? Oh, you were in the group text with us last night.
Well, he was eating Oreos. He might have been a little busy.
This is the bottom of this page with somebody. I don't know. We're investigating. I guess I reached out to some people in NASCAR.
That's not
Everything
real.
we say right
real.
now is alleged.
That happened on the NASCAR radio after the race was over last night.
Yeah,
but we think it was a fan hacking their radio of some sort. But
or it was Mr. Hendrick, one of the two.
No, or Mr. H got on there. But it said
That's not.
Go ahead and read it. Go ahead and
no.
read it. You don't want to read it? I'll read it.
I had to read the bag comment earlier.
All right.
You can take
this. This was
one.
from the transcript of the post race, right? Colby, right? This is where we got this from. Elton Sawyer. Elton, you better not Larson. Do not Larson. There you go, Elton. You're gonna Larson, aren't you? Don't Larson, Elton. Don't you do it.
That's not.
It's got to
That's
be.
not a NASCAR official.
Yeah.
saying.
Oh, you
There's
don't think so?
No way.
You don't think that was Helton just on there?
There had to be a fan
somebody.
that
I have. This happens once a year on our radio. I feel like somebody gets on there.
Does that happen pretty often? Like
I've never had. I mean, we've had bleed over. Like when we go to Vegas, we get the Air Force Base radio transmitters to, not transmitters, but we get some bleed in from, like, I'll hear whatever the flight number or whatever it is.
Yeah, especially
ready for
Daytona,
depart,
sometimes
like
that
stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've had people just outright yelling and on our radios before. It's crazy.
It's
but
nuts.
It's
crazy.
There's crazy people out there. But this, somebody told me this when I got on the plane last night, and I was like, "There's no way."
No.
Like they showed me like the TRD transcript, and I'm like, "Oh God!" So somebody, but I don't think anybody heard it. Right? That's what we got told. Like it was some kind of, I don't know, whatever. But we'll see. But who do you got? What was your show of the week, Thomas? Anybody that comes to mind? Hosevar? You want to blame it? You want to yell?
I mean,
Ricky, what did Ricky do this week?
Hosevar, Kyle
I don't
Busch.
know. I mean,
who else?
No, I just, I thought overall the Cup race was pretty damn good. It was a lot of, like you said, in the middle of the pack, there was a lot of racing going on, 2-3 wide, and Corey was in a lot of it. And,
I'll tell you who was ultra. I mean, obviously had to get a lot of luck. McDowell came from like 6 laps down to finish in the top 15.
How many times in a row did he get the lucky dog?
6.
I was like, every once in a while.
He tied Jamie McMurray and myself for most waiver rounds.
Oh, really?
In a race. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter last night.
I was trying to think of. Never mind.
It's okay.
You're not even.
But like he just kept getting it, and then he was racing behind us. And I'm like, surely he's on a lead lap, right? And sure enough, I go, he's right behind us. He's on the lead lap. Yeah. But that was pretty impressive. Where did he finish? 14th, I think, or something
13th,
like that.
13th.
Yeah.
That was
So do we
from
only
the
have-
garage. Like,
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like he was in the garage. It came out to finish 13th.
So do we only have one nominee?
I guess, unless you can get
I'm
anybody.
nominating. I'll nominate the Tower. That's who I'm going to nominate for their caution
For the
pushing
caution
button
disaster?
situations.
Can you just roll Chris Rice over for another
Can we
week?
just,
I feel like that
he
deserves
he
two.
deserves 2 of them.
See if he can go.
Put Chris Wright. Leave him on the board. Like leave him on the board. So we'll
Back
see
to
if
back.
we'll just see if anybody beats
tops
Chris
it,
Wright
tops it,
all
yeah.
year.
I know we do need like an inductee board or
He's
something.
won at first race of the year.
Yeah.
He's got it for the year probably.
Remember to go vote on Twitter for the Show Hall of Fame poll, and we'll see who gets inducted next week. All right, DBC picks. I smoked
won?
y'all again this
Who
week.
won?
God almighty.
Me.
No, you got to pick because the guests are picking.
don't even
this
know.
Yeah,
what
no,
we're-
you get to pick
what do-
with us.
what do we
Okay.
do?
So you just pick who you think's gonna win, but you can't use the guys that like Bubba and Blaney picked already. Who goes last?
Me.
Or who finished last?
I'll do
Tommy. Hang on.
Zillage.
So you can
Tom-
Tommy. Who you go for? Tommy goes.
Oh,
first.
I go last?
No, you go. Yeah,
Third.
you do go third because
I go last since I won.
Bubba had a decent pick. Thomas, who you want?
Reddick.
Red Dick. I will take Bill Byron.
It's a good pick.
You said you want Zillage?
I'll take Zilly.
That's fine.
Take Zilly
Where are we
in the
going?
first start.
We're going
Coda?
to Coda.
I'll take Almendinger.
Almendinger. Is he racing?
I don't know. Is he not? Wait,
He's
is he
full
not?
time.
He's full.
Don't with me. Don't with me, dude.
What are you doing to prepare for? How was your road racing game been, Noah? Like not good.
It depends on the
Yeah,
weekend.
I
It depends on the year. I mean, with Legacy, we went to Coda and qualified in the top 10 and made the second round. And then went back there last year. I felt even more confident, and we were like 32nd. So
Have you ran sim with the new track design yet?
yeah, it's not fully, like the visuals aren't fully there of what it'll look like last week when I ran it, but this week I go Wednesdays, so it should be better, but it's kind of hard to see. I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference on
I just
passing.
don't like the fact that I feel like we eliminated 2 passing zones by doing this. Like that turn 11 was a
11
really
and
good
then
passing
turn
zone,
12.
and then 12 because you had such a long straightaway to 12. But I wasn't a fan of it, and we'll see how it plays out. But what do you guys? Just one car this week?
Yeah, just one car.
You're not bringing a road racing ace
No,
to
just one car and concentrate on that. But yeah, we ran it a little bit last week, and same thing. Couldn't see the corner.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Like, is that like going to be blind when you're there, or is this? Do you think it's just a sim
I
thing?
don't know.
I hope
Yeah,
not.
I hope not. It's certainly always easier to see, I feel like, in real life than the sims are really good, but it's that last 5 or 10% making it feel exactly realistic is the hardest 5 or 10% to find to make it realistic. So I couldn't see anything in 6A, which is that new left-hander.
That's the one we cut off the S's, right?
Yeah. So, and then another thing need to see is the track limits. If it's still
So I don't know. So what in our meeting, our spotter meeting at Daytona, they were talking about they're going to put kind of like walls up, or at least tire stacks is what they told us, like to have a more defined
area
where like if you hit whatever this is, temporary wall, tire stack, whatever it is, you're off. You know, so it's more because like I hated that last year, and I know you guys probably did too. Like, just you don't know, you're just running through there, and if you just happen to be,
know if you have your left sides on the rumble strips, or if you're inside of them.
I didn't know.
Your outside tire, if it's you have all four underneath it.
Do you think there should be something like a wall, like a penalty, like if you get too far off, or should it just be up to NASCAR to call it?
I mean, I feel like it's clear as day. If you cut it, you cut it, and if you don't, you don't. Like, it's kind of like the tolerance deal. Like, they give you a whole car with a tolerance essentially, because you can have, like, I think of the first right through the S's. Like, you want to cut that as much as possible to get set up into the left and then to the right. You have plenty of room to run through there that if you're not on the rumble strip with your left side tires to that right hander, okay, you're going to get popped. So I don't see an issue personally with it. Depends on how it gets a little sketchy when you're following a car through there to see, but you're still feeling the rumble strip with the tires, so you know where you are. I think it's just guys trying to take more than they have, and they already have a tolerance, and that's everything, though. So,
well, we wish you luck this weekend. We wish you luck this year. Take care of my buddy Drew, my buddy Joey. Joey's my neighbor, so just
is he?
Yeah, he lives around the block from me. Him and Kelly.
He's a good dude.
He is a good dude. He likes to get after it at times. He enjoys Fireball about as much as I do. But we wish you luck. Good luck this year. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Anybody else you want to shout out before you take off out of here? I know Rusty. Say hi to Rusty again. When's he on the car?
Rusty.
When's he coming back? Do you know?
He's back this weekend.
As I say, it's probably this week, right?
Rusty. I want to show the listeners Rusty's voice.
Rusty's you got a voicemail? You won't believe his voice. When that day, John was with, and when I say he's got a case of tequila with him, he doesn't bring bottles. He brings cases.
Yeah, when he lands, he's got two.
I would really like to. I would really like to
two
meet
SUVs with the back
the freezer. He's got a freezer in the back.
-4 to -6 degrees with tequila in the back. Sometimes he'll pull the tequila bottle out and a whole block of ice is stuck to the base.
John was out one day and he's like, he had one shot left. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do everybody a favor. I'll just finish this shot off so we don't gotta worry about this bottle anymore. So Rusty's like, here, you take the bottle. John does the shot and throws the bottle out and goes and gets another bottle out of the truck. John's like, he's like, I thought we were done with this stuff.
Shit, man, I imagine we're 25 minutes out. Do you need me to pick you up, or you want to come here, or whatever? It don't make a hoot. Come on over and hang out. Love to show it to you, Bubba.
Don't make a hoot.
Don't make a hoot. He's the best.
I love that.
Well, good luck to you and Rusty this week then.
Thanks.
Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully we'll get you some points this week and enjoy that. Get you back up in the list.
He's always sending kissy face emojis. And
he does?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Thomas, we already talked about you ready to go this week. No modifieds this week?
We're racing this the Smart Tour starts this weekend at Florence.
Both kids?
Saturday, both kids are racing.
Jesus Christ.
And, oh yeah, he's jacked.
Oh, he's he's like mid-60s, right? I mean,
he's never worked out a day in his life, he says.
So both kids racing this week.
Yeah,
Are they allowed to crash each other?
No,
Is that a rule still?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. And I'll be in the war room on Sunday for COTA.
What Jack's running your car?
Jack's running the 7NY and
then Luke's running the same
7
one?
VA. Yep.
Cars Tour starts this weekend.
Oh yeah, where
we
we
go
at?
to New River All American,
Oh, yeah, we talked about
Jacksonville. Yeah, we talked about this last week. I know you don't keep
Who's
up
gonna
with
win?
me well, but
Are you
no,
handing
I
out-
can't have
Are
favorites.
you handing out black flags again this year?
No, and I'm so glad I don't have to listen to TJ run his mouth about that anymore. As if I'm in the tower, please.
Shout out who we got. Who's driving the house cars? Connor Hall
and Caden Quapple.
Caden Quapple.
Yeah.
Good luck to them. And I guess we'll see you guys. I know you ran into some fans out. We got a phone call from one of them. Seen a bunch of fans at the racetrack. All big Noah Gragson fans, of course. But thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Appreciate it.
See y'all.
Cheers.